Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Could I invite Mark Christensen to come forward regarding the item on the agenda, item 27, Memorial Avenue Investment Limited site mail. And I've accepted your late request because we do have a deputation from the Avonhead Community Group, and since that you've come all the way in, I think that it's only fair that we hear from you.
I apologise, hadn't realised there was deputations in relation to this item, so that was the reason for the late. I have to my left Mr Andrew Mason from Memorial Avenue Investments Limited. We haven't prepared anything, but simply the issue, this goes back for quite a number of years, the issue of the appropriate zoning for the site at the end of Memorial Avenue and Russley Road. And in 2007, an application for a private plan change to rezone that land from the current rural to a business zone was lodged, and that was the subject of a long discussion and various further requests for further information from the council. Along came the earthquakes and all got put on hold effectively. The land use recovery plan has then since come along, which puts this land, along with some others, inside the land use recovery plan as a priority business greenfields area. So while we had been progressing the plan change, we had discussed earlier in January of this year with council officers that a more efficient way of dealing with the appropriate zoning of the site would be to fold it into the district plan review. And so over the last 6 months we've been working with council officers really to get to a place where the zoning of some sort of business zoning as required by the land use recovery plan is able to go out for public notification as part of your district plan review. And so we got to that point and we had agreed with council officers that that was a more efficient way of dealing with it rather than as by a separate plan change.
That was a council request.
It was a council request, Mr Mason reminds me, yes. So,
and we've spent probably $500,000 following that request.
The Mail has changed its position and spent a lot of money in responding to those issues and working with council officers over the last little while. The ultimate zoning or the outcome of what that land should be zoned for and what sort of business, there is a difference of opinion between Mail and council officers at this stage. Mail's view that it has to be it's an iconic site, it's a part of the gateway to Christchurch, it needs to be a hugely high amenity, it needs to have a range of business options, but at the same time it has to be very careful, and it's crucial that those business activities that might go on the site should not interfere in any way with CBD recovery or with any of the key activity centres. And so the ultimate outcome will be the subject of the normal resource management process, truncated as it will be, no doubt, through an order in council as to the process. But that is so we're seeking simply to get into the district plan and to have a chance at having our say, along with all of the residents and others who will also be able to make submissions. We've got to the point where we're ready to go, and all we're seeking is to get into the process as we had effectively worked on reliance on where the council officers had directed us to have our chance at having a say along with everyone else. Thank you.
You have the capacity to reinitiate your private plan change if that...
Well, I'm not sure that at the end of the day we will. Currently today we might. The order in council I suspect will stop that because the order in council will likely say, and this is from discussions I've had only informally with lawyers within Sarah, that they will say there were certain cut-offs at private plan change or private plan changes already in train will be able to continue. Those which have not got to a certain point, and I don't know what that is, but I suspect it will be notification, may not be able to proceed. So we may fall between two stools.
We're not at that point because council stopped us.
we haven't got the point of notification. So if we can get the thing notified and underway, that might be possible, but I suspect that we may well, if you kick us to touch here, we may fall between two stools.
Has anyone else got any questions? Yanni, Jamie, Phil?
So, when was your agreement with council staff? And did they advise you at any time that obviously it would be up to the elected members to make decisions around timing for things like district plan review and priority chapters?
We've always known, of course, at the end of the day, elected members sign off on what you're going to do. So the arrangement was around the end of January. We first were told that the 20th of January. And then we worked, I suppose, over a week or so looking at various options and agreeing that rather than proceed with the plan change, we would fold into the district plan. So that would have been early February. And since then, we've been working with council officers on the form that should take.
Yeah, no, Jamie?
Yes. Just interested to know what your main objections would be then around, just to really carefully outline, between being a part of district plan review phase 1 versus phase 2, stage 2.
We've spent considerable money, which just goes to the four winds. You know, $600,000 of effort at council's behest, which is out of date. Could do it again. We could have lodged our plan change in February with what we had, but we elected to go forward with council because that's what was asked of us. And I was very hesitant about it because I was mistrusting of it. And after considerable soul searching, we decided that we would, based on representations given to us. So here we are in late June. The representations around timing haven't been met, and I get that, you know, everyone's busy, but the timing suggestions that were given to us when we initially agreed to it have been moved. In good faith, we've treated with the council on this process, and we've compiled a lot of the reports for council at our own cost in order to speed up the process. They're all wasted. If we're kicked for touch and the process of reactivating our...
Well, it's not entirely kick for touch, though.
No, if we're not in phase 1 of the district plan review, just as Mark said, we may be, and most likely, because it's the way things work, there'll be some moratorium around plan changes that we can't participate in because we haven't gone to the notification process. We could have done had we not treated with council at their request. So we'll miss out on that. So we need to wait for phase 2. All the reports, all the work that we've done is wasted. I mean, you've got a site that's zoned for pig farming on the most iconic site in Christchurch. I mean, what do you want to do? Just keep it like that forever? If that really is that what you want? You know, you leave the airport and you drive through the airport, special purpose airport zone has 6 metre setbacks from Memorial Ave and 20 metre high height restrictions. So you can leave the terminal, drive down effectively a zoned canyon where you can have buildings within 6 metres of the road, 20 metres high. Then you've got this bridge, the arches of which are going to be 29 metres high. The top of the rails are about 12 metres, the road, and then you go through, and then what, you want a little farm? And then you some houses? Is that what you want? And, you know, as I said, it is zoned for pig farming. You know, we don't have to apply for consent. Is that sort of the thing that you want to show the tourists? You know, we've got 50,000 people a day drive across that bridge. You know, is Christchurch, we're just putting a handbrake on it? You know, the government looked at it through the land use recovery plan. This, of all the places that we should start trying to encourage some business, that would have to be one of them.
Well, actually, I think that isn't an accurate reflection of why it ended up in the LURB. It actually ended up there because it was in the UDS, which was developed before we had a major earthquake. So, Phil and then Raf.
You've referred to it previously being zone rural. Can I just ask you though?
It's currently zoned rural.
Currently, yes. Okay. So, taking the importance of the West Melton aquifer into account and how shallow the surface gravels are in that, and the need to protect that aquifer, can you tell me in terms of your plans what sort of mitigation measures you have included? Or would include?
The proposal for the zoning will require the same controls that the Environment Court has approved on the airport.
Yeah, actually,
protection
I'm
of
going to
the-
rule that out of order because it's not the issue that we're being asked to make today. We're being asked whether it's stage 1 or stage 2. So it's not relevant to the issue that we're dealing with.
Couple of questions. Obviously, if you knew that elected members were going to have the final say, how come we didn't know about this?
I don't know.
So the whole reason we put it into phase 2 is because we wanted to have more time to consider what the best use of that site was and the best way to zone it, and we weren't confident that we had enough information. So we put it into phase 2. There's other areas around there which also need consideration at the same time, so it made logical sense for us to do that. Now, I don't see that all the work that you've done should be compromised by that fact, and that actually it gives us more time to sit down and say, well, actually, what does everybody want out of the site? You know, is there a compromise? What is the best way to actually do it? But without our input, we're making decisions blind.
Well, I don't know what sort of information you've been able to get over the last 6 months or so forth from.
I mean,
from
the
officers.
district plan review was,
Yes.
the work we had was televised, and it was pretty clear from that councils had no idea that there was actually this proposal.
Which we're flabbergasted by. The amount of work we've done with the council officers is huge. The amount of meetings we've had is huge.
Unfortunately, it hasn't got quite
Well,
to us.
it's not our job to do that, though.
No, but I do. Some of the we had understood and we had seen on the videos that references to this were included within the workshops, and so we were surprised that the councillors weren't aware to the extent that we thought that you were. So we're surprised about that.
But in reality, what difference is it going to make? I mean, okay, so whatever, another 6 months. But within that 6 months, we might be able to actually get to a better outcome.
Well, I think that yes, two things. One is that we're ready to go now. Secondly, the process is for getting the outcome. You don't have to decide on the final end best solution for it to be notified. Otherwise, there's no need for a process. So we think we're at a place where it's able to be go out for the public process through the district plan review, and we may well be able to come up with some sort of compromise or some sort of different mix of uses that will be the best thing through that process, not just through a hearing process. I think there's much better ways of doing that in advance. We want to be actively working with people who are interested, but we think we're ready to get underway now.
All the inputs required, such as the question, and all the other suite of reports that you need for this type of land use change, they've all been done by either council or us. They all exist. They're done. It's finished. We're ready. I mean, council hasn't suggested that they need anything more. I mean, if around this table you're suggesting, but I'm not sure that the planners could imagine that there's anything more required because we've done it all.
Except that, and it's your issue around the iconic nature of the site, where it's located. But look, thank you very much for your time. And I'd now like to call on Professor Bagshi on behalf of the Avonhead Community Group.